In today's throwaway world, the exact opposite of how it should be, it is nice to know when there is something we can actually fix ourselves. Now, while many of you may not be equipped or possess the knowledge to repair the EV itself, you might just be able to spend a few dollars on a basic component to avoid spending hundreds of dollars on a new charging cable. In this video, I show a very simple and affordable fix that will likely apply to most, if not all, J1772 EV cables. One of mine I fixed in this fashion around 3 to 4 years ago, and it is still working. So it just goes to show what a few dollars can accomplish. Thanks to this repair, overall, I've been using this cable for around 7 to 8 years. I would say almost a decade is a pretty good run for any electronic device. I've been doing automation maintenance and engineering for over 25 years, and in my professional opinion, this micro switch is the most likely component to fail in your charging cord. In fact, you might even want to inspect and order this component in advance so that if it fails, you're not left out in the cold. Here we have our two lovely charging cords. One is the turbo cord by AeroVironment, now Webasto, I guess. And Migair Sky Sword 2, very much a generic Chinese brand. I barely use that one. The other one's been my main cord for almost a decade now. Turbo cord is the blue one, and Migair is the white one. Turbo cord is the one that I've already repaired. As you can see here, the cord has seen better days, and I do not recommend using it like this. I need to repatch it again, it appears. As you can see, the inside of the business end of these things is not that complex. It's basically got your main charging wires just passing through it, and then it's got a little micro switch that's activated by the latch mechanism. This switch is there to make sure that the cord is properly latched in place. This is primarily a safety feature, I would say, because if there's not a good connection, you can have arcing, and that potentially causes heat, and if you have arcing, you will have potential corrosion and carbon buildup on your terminals. This black micro switch was actually the original one that was bad that I replaced in this charging cable. You can see here I have a whole package of the new style. You don't tend to be able to buy these in one-off. They tend to come in packs of 5 or 10 or whatever, so that's kind of unfortunate, but it's just how it is with small stuff like that. It's not worth selling just one, unfortunately. You'll see that these switches don't necessarily look the same, even though they can work in place of each other. The main thing is to make sure the mechanical and electrical specs match. As long as your holes line up and they match electrically, you're good to go. You might have noticed that the original one didn't have an actual part number on it. It just listed the specifications. So oftentimes you can just do a search for the specs and you'll find what you need. The main thing that you'll need to make sure is that it has the right type of switch inside. So because there's normally open and normally closed switches, and most of these have both, which is why there's 3 terminals, but not in every case. So you need to make sure that it's the right style of switch for your configuration. I did notice my new switch is 1 amp lower than the original, but I haven't had any problems with it, but try to match them exactly. If you're doing this kind of work, you're going to want a multimeter. You can pick these up for around $100 at your local hardware store. You just need a simple one like this. Even in the automation field, we don't really use much more complicated ones. So you're going to want to set your meter to continuity. That's a little Wi-Fi looking symbol right here. And that's going to basically give you a tone anytime the probes are touching each other or any kind of conductor connecting them together. So what I'm doing here is I'm demonstrating on the original switch a test of the normally open set of contacts. So what you have is you have a common and you have a normally open and normally closed. The normally closed is the side that was actually used for this charging cord, but it had failed. So this is how you would test the normally open side. So with the way the common works is the common connects it to the little arm that moves back and forth inside the switch. So this guy right here. So that's your common terminal, it connects to the arm. In the middle you have your normally open terminal. Normally open means that when it's not activated, these two terminals do not have continuity or are not connected. Once the arm is pressed down, it acts on this plunger here, and once that pushes down on the arm, those two make contact, and now those two are connected. That's how the normally open functions. Similarly, on the normally closed side, they're normally originally making connection all the time. So you should have a tone all the time with your meter, and then when you push it down, it will actually open them up, and the tone will stop when you press the switch. Hopefully that makes sense. The thing is, if the switch has gone bad, you're not going to get a tone on the normally closed side or on the open side when you activate it. And some of these switches have some pretty shitty schematics on them, so sometimes you don't know what the normally open and normally closed and common terminals are. So sometimes you might test them to figure out at least which the normally open one is, and then you can kind of use process of elimination to determine whether it was using the normally open or normally closed. However, most systems are going to, like this, where it's a safety feature to some degree, or preventing damage, they're going to be using the normally closed, because that way it's expecting a signal all the time, and then if something else goes wrong, like a broken wire, it's going to know that, versus only turning on when it's pressed. And as you can see here, you can still find these online. I don't remember where this one was, but they're pretty easy to find. And when I say specs, I'm talking about what amperage is it rated for and what voltage is it rated for. And then also normally open and normally closed contacts. You need to make sure that it has the right kind for the application. Once you've worked out what type of contacts you have on your switch, you can cut and strip the wires as needed and solder them to the new switch. Once you're ready to assemble everything, just make sure that your wires are all tucked out of the way so nothing gets pinched when you close it up, and then make sure your latch is moving freely after the sides are assembled. As you'll see on this meager one, it's not terribly different from the other charging cord. It's just also got a micro switch on a couple little pins. I wouldn't even be surprised if you couldn't use the same switch, but this one is a different switch. So again, just check your specs. This one actually has a part number on it. So also found this one online. G9A05. Found it with Alibaba and Amazon. Probably gonna have to go with like Amazon. Unfortunately, it's like $7 or $8 for one switch. Alibaba requires, I think, like minimums of like 100 or something, because it's like buying in bulk from China or something like that. So you want to be aware of components and the wiring on these as well. This one has what looks like, I believe those are resistors. If you only cut the wires after the resistors, like in between the resistors and the switch, they really aren't going to matter. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, basically on most of these you're going to have to either cut wires and solder wires to wires if the switch comes with wires off of it, or if it has terminals like the other one, the one in the turbo cord, you'll just have to clip and strip the wires and solder them to the terminals on the switch. I don't go over soldering in this video. I'm sure there are millions of videos on how to solder, so I'll let you guys seek those out. Please don't burn yourselves or sue me, bro. Speaking of which, just one more disclaimer. You are responsible for knowing your limitations. If you don't feel comfortable doing any of this, or your knowledge is not solid enough, please don't. I am not responsible for any fires or damage to your home, vehicle, or anything else, or your person, or your family, or friends, or pets, or anything else of yours that you cherish. You are responsible for these things. Please make sure your competency level is up to the task at hand. So anyway, that's it for this video. I hope this is able to save somebody some money and possibly time. Like I mentioned before, it might not even be a bad idea to open yours up and see what you have in there and order it in advance. And then if it ever fails for a few bucks, I mean, you might as well have it on hand. It'll save you some time too, not just the money, you know, because your cord fails, you don't want to get, you know, have to go to a charging station, not be able to charge your car overnight at home or whatever. The rest of this is just B-roll, so if you guys enjoyed the video, please give me a like and a subscribe, and I'll keep sending you valuable content. Till next time, peace.